Hello and welcome back to upstate New York. We have got Boise State Week 1 that we view as a holiday around here. A very good matchup to circle on the schedule and no different today in Overwatch. I'm Carson Cash, joined by Ryan Blankenhorn, and we have got one heck of a matchup for you. The Broncos come to town against an orange team 7-3, sitting in a weird spot in the conference. 3 losses so far, 1 to Utah, 2 to Ohio State, 2 this semester specifically overall. They've got to find a way to get through, and Boise State might just be the week they get back on track.
Yeah, I mean, this match is really important for this team here, Carson. You know, losing to Utah, losing to Ohio State, this is a really, really big matchup for this team. Not only is this something that, for the Syracuse squad, will sort of redefine the rest of their season, but it also puts them in a situation of no longer being in the top 3.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very crucial match for this Syracuse squad, and they know it, right? The tension's already there, and they're already ready to give it their all because this really is the match, arguably, that matters more than any other match outside of playoffs.
Let's take a little look last week at Utah's matchup. Nebraska's matchup. Utah's matchup happened in Marley, so we don't have access to those clips right now. 2 immediately, in what you're thinking about right now. Nebraska was a good game for them to tune up, but it didn't go the way they wanted to the week after in Utah. You're seeing them play very well here, play very loose. They're able to against a team like Nebraska. That won't fly against the Boise State Broncos. We have got a lot to talk about today, notably 5 new heroes and where they really stand in the meta, because they did just get nerfed again. Now a lot of it's different from what we've been saying for the past 2 weeks. But the big thing is just how different the Syracuse esports squad needs to play. Even in the same meta, even in everything being the same, they have to find a way to pick themselves up, essentially, and let themselves go forward and attack correctly as a team, play together as a team, and know what they have to do to beat Boise State tonight. And everything you're seeing here against Nebraska is exactly what they meant to do. 2-2 right now in this second half. They need to find a way to beat this week. You mentioned top 3. They lose this, they've lost to every top 3 team in the conference, and they will have no opportunity to play another team at that caliber until they head out to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, this match is riding a lot on it. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, this team has worked so hard to get to this point. I mean, they were riding off the high that they had last year coming out of Vegas, being the second-place team. They came into the semester, and they came out swinging. The only team they lost to was Ohio State, 3-0 against Boise State, if I remember correctly, from last semester. And now they're coming down into this matchup, right, where they get to play them again, right? They beat Utah last semester. They beat Boise last semester. They had a relatively close series against Ohio State last semester. This semester, 3-0 by Ohio, 3-0 by Utah, and 3-1, sorry. And
hey. 3-1.
gotta keep credit, right? And now they're going up against Boise, right? So this match really has come full circle, and it's a lot of this team, and a lot of teams in this conference in general have improved at such an exponential rate, and now Syracuse is sort of sitting there where they need to also improve at that rate. They need to make the right adaptations. We've talked about it before. Syracuse has always been a very good team, but they've always been a little slow on the adaptations mid-game.
Yeah, if you were watching Sunday, we talked about adaptations and how they're going to change this week. Then most notable change you already saw Sunday, Diva exists. And Diva is very good right now. And we'll have to wonder how that changes into effect with these new 5 heroes. But what we're getting word of, especially for our guys, is that these 5 heroes are really gimmicky and that they have these big weaknesses that have to be addressed at some point logically in order to win the game. And honestly, the team at Blizzard, they had a very important job in order to try and make sure these heroes were balanced. But a lot of their weaknesses are glaring. They are big flaws, and that is a big thing, is why we might not see them this week.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You take a look at how these characters were created, and one of the things that Overwatch has always been weary of has been making characters too strong on release, right? You take a look at some of the characters that have been released in the past that were like, oh, we're so excited, and then nothing really happened with them. I'm going to bring you back 10 years ago when Brig was released.
Yes.
Right? Brig came out and was absolutely awful. And then they did small micro patches over and over and over and over again. And then, Carson, let me introduce you to Goats, where Brig was literally the only playable support outside of, sure, I mean, he had Lucy, he had Zen, whatever. Those characters exist. But Brig was the meta.
Side characters.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of characters have been that way in Overwatch. It's kind of what they aim to do slowly, is find a nice place to put them. Don't bring them out too broken. Now, you do have characters like Sojourn and Kiri that have just been existing and meta and have been broken since release, or at least very playable since release.
Yeah.
But then you have characters that haven't really seen their light yet. One of them has been Lifeweaver. That's been a really interesting character that I've been waiting to sort of see shine, but it's a very niche, very gimmicky character, like you were mentioning, and some of these new characters, right? Domina and Emre, those are the two that a lot of people have been talking about the most, and of course, Jetpack Cat, have to say that one. Those have been really the main discussion points of a lot of these new characters, right? Domina being this main poke tank. You take a look at Emre being sort of a hybrid between Soldier and Sojourn. Very, very powerful characters, but they're a little bit unique, and you still have characters like Sojourn that are just simply a little bit better than Emre. And Domina, it's a little bit of a struggle to find where she's going to fit in the meta, especially with that cooldown on her shield being 13 or 14 seconds long, and you can't move it.
Yeah. The big thing with Emre is I think that's the most likely we'll see on a consistent basis once those patches start coming out in small waves. They already have this week. There's already been a nerf, especially to
Domina got a nerf.
Domina, Vendetta, and
the Vendetta nerf we'll talk about in a second. Yeah.
Excuse me. Who was the other nerf that was fairly important? I actually don't think it's fairly important for our meta.
For us, it won't matter.
I think for a character who was already out of it, I believe it's just fully out of it because Jetpack Cat, we'll talk about that character soon because I think that's the one that has a chance at making the most impact in a few gimmicky maps. We see a lot of Ilios here because we like Ilios. Other teams like Ilios. It just happens to be a conference trait where a lot of these teams are comfortable on Ilios and will play them a lot generally.
Yeah.
But you have to wonder, you're thinking to yourself, Carson, why are these new heroes not good? Like they normally come out, they have like a gimmick, sure, but they're normally like pretty simple, and this is not the case. All of this update has entirely changed what they do with characters that are on release. There's one really simple character. They have a Soldier 77 essentially in one, but Jetpack Cat, like you look at that kit and it kind of describes where Overwatch I think is headed.
Yeah.
Jetpack Cat has a absurd kit that I will let you get into more because I think you can do it far more justice in how insane it is than I can.
I mean, all these characters, like you said, outside of Emre, are very, very unique in their playstyles and in their creation. Now, Jetpack Cat has been one of the few supports on release that it can actually be classified back into that main support, flex support category, where we haven't really seen that in a while. Ever since Baptiste on release, really hasn't seen a true main support or flex support creation. Now, obviously, you have players pick it up. Your flex support players are typically playing Kiriko. That's only because Lucio is that main support. A Jetpack Cat, because of how that kit is created, actually does fit into the main support category. And I'm going to put a hold on Jetpack Cat just for a second, because likely we might see her tonight specifically come out from Hex from Boise State.
Yes.
So if we get to that point, we'll definitely talk about them. But what you were talking about when it comes to the other characters is really important, right?
Headed to the stage now, excuse me. The players are headed for their computers. They'll take a brief moment here, get ready. They do their team meeting in the closet in the back room where they can be very loud and yell.
This is true, yes.
They're looking to try and find a way back tonight. 1-2 in the last 3 games. We'll see this squad here try and reclaim themselves. It's B-Dog in the flex support position. Yes, B-Dog in the flex support position because they'll play Kiriko, even though they're naturally not that way. Lunar on the tank. Azer, your one of your DPSs. Saint, your main support, as well as Mac, your DPS hit scan. Going to be really interesting to see how these guys play tonight. They 3-0'd them last semester. This team is a little different, and Hex is one that you're going to be watching. Hex is the main difference that from the previous squad that they played. That being said, Hex is going to be on Jetpack Cat, and we'll get more into that like we mentioned later. But this squad really wants to win. I spoke earlier, the captain, Harris, and specifically the tank, Lunar. Lucas really looking to find a way to get back here. He felt like he played very well last week, but knew that there were definitely some holes in his game. And with the patch day today, things are a little bit different. They might go their way, but they know that those losses aren't a fluke anymore. They know that they have flaws, and as they head to Vegas, they have to patch them. This is going to be one of your last opportunities, truly, for the PEC to see yourself and what you look like. Lunar, Lucas Stolman, a Syracuse, New York native, in aerospace engineering, so we've got no lack of smart talent here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, you take a look at a player like Lucas Lunar, who started off sort of not as a major fight planner. I mean, he was sort of struggling to find that role, and in his time here at Syracuse has really adapted into that role and has been very, very strong in his creation of fight planning. One thing I also want to mention is Clear, right? Clear has been a major playmaker for Boise State, and if I remember correctly, also wasn't playing last time they played. So this is also a big part to consider as well, because Boise State, we've only seen them once, right? But one thing to consider about this team, what makes them such a powerhouse, not just in the PEC, but nationally, is because, yes, they know how to play meta, but they also like to experiment a little bit. One of the things that Boise's been known for in the Power Esports Conference has been Clear on Wrecking Ball. That's not meta. Not even close.
Like, that's also, like, it's also, not that it's only not meta, it's also bad. Wrecking Ball
Wrecking Ball is not good at
Wrecking
all.
Ball, I've seen, like, as high as D tier in some areas, and that's a few sprinkles on top. It can play well, really well. Anything can work well in Overwatch if you do it well. Teams like Northwestern and Georgia Tech outside of this conference, if you're familiar with them, they're a bunch of smart kids who go to Northwestern and Georgia Tech for a reason. They play very off meta almost all the time and gain a lot of wins because there are only teams like Alvernia and the Fishers of the world that can beat them, and that's what you're trying to see here from Boise State. They're trying to kind of replicate that, but they don't really have the flexibility to do it, I think, for specifically these Idaho potato guys. I mean, they're doing a great job otherwise on meta, but once they get off, it's a really difficult stage. We'll have to see, though, kind of how we go here. We're going to start on Samoa. That's a map we have not seen this semester.
Nope.
Since last semester when we started against Boise State.
Yeah, I mean, Samoa is a map that it still has some ups and downs, right? A lot of the players, when they think about Samoa, there's one specific point that none of them really like, and then the other 2 points they're fine with, and it's the jump pad in the middle. No one really likes that map or that point, and it's because it's weird. And the reason it's weird is because you can either run it down the main choke and just have an all-out brawl, or you can fight in this tiny place in the top right, which kind of existed in its own little pocket dimension of the map.
There is not enough room for 2 teams up there.
Yeah, it doesn't really make any sense. So not many teams enjoy that specific point, but they do enjoy Samoa, and the reason they do is because it really is a map that showcases fundamentals, right? This map, it's very difficult to get cheeky and to get cheesy on. You kind of just have to play it like a normal team. I say that when Boise might walk out on Wrecking Ball, but you get the idea. It's a fundamental team play, and that's where we've seen Syracuse. They are actually really good fans of this map.
Well, when you say fundamentals, it doesn't necessarily mean something on meta. It's kind of more in the way you compose your team in the right way, you'll win. There's a Malka fan who is just too large for the screen. There's right shoulder, I believe, there, as well as a Vendetta ban from Syracuse, which makes a lot of sense. They really struggled last week against that Vendetta versus Utah until the very end, where they found an answer, but unfortunately couldn't find one because Flashpoint is Flashpoint and very difficult to beat a team that runs a comp that, Utah was running. But otherwise, it's been a very fantastic ban, I think, for both sides here. They're both doing the right thing, even though Syracuse doesn't really play a lot of Malga.
Yeah, and I mean, Syracuse banning that Vendetta, it's safe, right? You don't have to deal with it. A's are very good on the Vendetta, but you kind of just want to see what you're going to roll out into against this Boise State squad. And I'm taking a look at this right now, Carson, and this is just Boise State in a nutshell. I mean, you have the Wrecking Ball, you have Juno Lucio, and then you have the Soldier. Clear's going, Clear is going to go with the Tracer. This is Boise State. This is their bread and butter of a composition because of their ability to displace you and their ability to control. But with the Diva, it's going to be a little bit harder because Syracuse has the ability to take these split fights.
I have no idea really where the Soldier's coming from here, but it's certainly working well. Clear picking up some damage off of Maxwell, getting 2 eliminations. Azer gets another one. Clear a triple at this point, all unassisted. Obviously some help, but not enough to get a marker there. He'll back up. Azer trying to get through forward. Lunar goes on the Rockets with Diva, gets rid of Clear. Diva, one of those main meta tanks if you're watching with us for CACC East on Sunday. There's a lot of Diva there as Maxwell going to rocket Lunar. Immediately, it's a very good start for Boise State. They win team fight first. They have control.
Yeah, the strength of this composition from the side of Boise is going to be their ability to hit hard and hit fast. While Syracuse, they have a little bit more sustainability with this Diva, but this Wrecking Ball is going to be dangerous, especially into players like B-Dog and Saint on this support line.
You have to wonder how much really utility you can get out of that Wrecking Ball because of how much distance it really can cover. You want to obviously have survivability with your players, but it can be hard. Diva will be isolated, though, just because of the nature of the character, kind of similar to Wrecking Ball, which is what they're hoping on here. And it worked the first team fight. The Orange playing a little bit better here. 2 kind of team fights, as you're seeing that happens often with that Diva. on that other end. Clear able to get rid of that Lunar mech. Azer able to get rid of Lyric though, so some support lacking for that Boise State side. Teamfight isn't over. Lunar still has the chance to get back into that mech. On their way to that forward side, back defending their tank. Strider goes down. It's a big win for the Orange. They could suddenly have their tank back with that one. Good shot by Mac. Saint got that boop off on the tank we mentioned a little earlier. 23% for the Orange. They have control of point and force Boise State off. Syracuse should have their full tank back too with Diva with the mech very soon.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, right? Syracuse has more of this ability to sustain these longer-term fights, and it's going to come down to this Cassidy and this Diva, while Boise, they just hit hard, but if you can sustain through that once or twice, you'll be in a much better position. We see that as Syracuse takes this lead on this point.
Orange and red here, forward again. Lunar gonna get rid of Maxwell. That'll be a good backline dive, but Strider does the same, gets rid of the other hit scan DPS, this time on the Orange side. Forward again into this weird little corner that you're mentioning earlier. Very difficult to fight right here for Lunar. It has that self-destruct, can get a little bit more boisterous after Saint's ult comes out there. Lunar runs over Lyric. It's a good job. One support down. Acer does not know there's a wrecking ball behind and just kind of gets pushed over. Again, that Diva doing big work for the Orange, defending the teammates with the defense matrix.
Yeah, this is where you see the force of sort of Boise State's adaptation, right? Maxwell on this soldier is just sort of trying to survive themselves through, but with the pressure from Lunar and Azer, it's very difficult.
Diva's so far forward, but here comes a sound barrier from Boise State. That'll help them forward. Clear nearly goes down. Hex as well with that ult. Helps them in a major way. Mac is the one who goes down. Orange without their hit scan. Backwards again, and Lunar kind of having to look two ways, defending the teammate and dealing with a wrecking ball behind. They go forward. Azer has pulse bomb. Needs to get a lot of utility out of here to get that team fight going, and the team fight win for the Orange. Lyric, able to get rid of B-Dog as Lunar fights on point against two. Mac able to get clear. That could be a big win, but here comes the Kiriko rush from Lyric. Orange without theirs. B-Dog already used it to make sure this team fight lasts a little longer. Lyric able to get rid of Lunar fully out of tank. Mac trying to reset essentially, or take as long as they can on point with the help of Azer. They'll back off. Orange of 99%. Boise State now in control point.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that Syracuse needs to do against this Boise State squad is really make sure they don't focus too much on Strider on Wrecking Ball here. This Wrecking Ball, yes, they're dangerous, especially as those perks get equipped and they get a little bit more damage on those slams. But if you put too much pressure into watching Strider, you give Clear and you give Maxwell so much freedom to just walk around and kill your backline.
This Boise State squad plays a lot more with your attention than they do the game at certain points. Forward is Mac with the rest of the team kind of playing off ball here. Back to Lunar looking, trying to get rid of one. That's a big support loss as Hex goes down to the Rockets. In addition into Overwatch 2, now back to Overwatch in terms of name. We don't think we mentioned that. It's no longer Overwatch 2. But they jump back into this team fight. Without a support, Boise State's going to struggle a little bit, but not enough as Lucio finally gets back. They do give up point, though. So, they almost give up point. Their point goes. Somebody walks off. Strider gets rid of B-Dog, but Mac themselves gets rid of Strider. A interesting sound barrier. Didn't catch anybody else for Saint. They're on their way back, but kind of a waste of an ult. Nobody was there, but Lunar manages to survive and get that mech back with the self-destruct. Maxwell gets rid of Mac in that other end. Hit scan goes down as Azer gets rid of Clear. Kind of even on that other front, Kiriko trying to rush on to keep the game alive for Boise State. There's going to be not enough there. St. Azer get two. One more back on the other end. Lunar chasing after Strider. Forward again. They wait. Overtime expiring, and Strider does not have enough movement to get back there in time. The Orange win the first round of control, and they'll go on to game 2 of 3 in this small game of 3 within this best of 5. But also game 4 is also its own best of 5. Overwatch is confusing, folks, but it's 1-0 for this first game here.
Absolutely, Carson. And, you know, if you're Boise State, right, that looked good, but overall, I think that came down to that Soldier 76 pick. It's very difficult to find that value on Soldier 76 when there are characters like Cassidy and Sojourn in the game that just give you so much more pressure into the side of what Syracuse is running, especially on that Diva immediately. But this is what we're talking about, Carson, the adaptation. Nothing changing for Syracuse. On the side of Boise State, however, the Domina coming in. Symmetra, May, Juno, or Kiri Lucio, excuse me. Clear will probably switch back over to that Tracer? Oh no, they won't.
Oh my gosh, it makes sense with Domina. Obviously want to have more of a Sentinel DPS there is immediately what you're seeing. We're going to have to explain this kit really quickly, but that's Domina's shield. Clear goes down there. I mean, not much survivability on that sim. But also there's a May, by the way, as Lunar gets rid of them as well. Lunar another one. This comp did not work out in the way Boise State was hoping, I believe. But we'll explain Domina's kit if Strider remains on Domina, because I'm not sure that's totally accurate right now.
I mean, it is potential. Strider will stay on, so quick notes, right? Shield, unmovable, but it's split into segments, so you have to focus down the shield to get through it. She's got a little grenade type thing she can attach to you and stun you for a second. She's a hit scan DPS, meaning click to shoot and click to kill.
Mac is stuck on the wall there, and Mac Soul gets rid of them. That's their kind of hit scan DPS. I don't really know what to call May. I guess it is.
Projectile.
It's a projectile DPS. Lunar gets rid of Clear, though, on that other end. That Sim really struggling against this comp, and it makes a lot of sense. Even fighting with that May in the bottom corner, excuse me. That other end, Mech goes down, and so does Lunar in that fight. A good job there by Boise State to recover after one goes down, but that's the loss of Lyric. It could be bad if they can't find a way to get rid of the support, but Hex is there against that Tracer, does a fantastic job. Orange and red, if you're just tuning in here. Goodness gracious, forward again, and the Orange just cannot get anything going. Saint able to get rid of Maxwell, though, so maybe not entirely true as their Diva comes back, and their main support, or not main support, their main sense of support on offense is back with Diva.
Yeah, and this fight's going to go forward here. This Domina and this Symmetra really aiming to force out this Lunar Diva. It's with the beam damage, but Trade's on the side here, Carson.
Self-destruct goes off. They get the mech back. Nobody targeted by that self-destruct, but Clear able to get Azer mech. Gets rid of Strider, tank down for that Boise State side. And in Poke, having your tank around is far more important than in this, I'll call it Brawl dive that Syracuse is playing, because it is Brawl, but everyone can move enough to where you could consider it dive if you really would like to. They do a very good job playing together, and especially playing together as a team in the sense of being able to back off when they need to without a tank still playing and contesting. 4 ults for the side of Boise State here, 2 for the Orange, maybe 3 by the end of this fight if Matt can get some good damage off. Lunar forced to back up, used their ult earlier, as Strider able to get rid of Saint there with that E. One more there as Lyric gets rid of Azer. Forward again for this Boise State squad as they are doing a fantastic job cleaning up point. Orange at 41%, and I just saw a blue laser and everyone go down. Goodness gracious, Boise State wins a team fight by the power of luminosity, if you will.
Yeah, and this is the strength, right? You have Strider, Clear, Maxwell all playing beam characters, so Lunar's going to struggle on this Diva, and they're sort of playing it with the May and the Domina a little bit weird, but it's kind of like Brawl. They're forcing them to play into these beams, and Lunar needs to get kills fast, because if he stays in too long, he will die. You see how fast he gets forced out early here from that May wall and that Domina shield, and that's what Syracuse is going to need to be very, very weary of into this Boise State squad as they start to sort of figure out their composition. Mac is going to pop the Deadeye, look for someone, but the beat's going to keep Hex barely alive, but not for long. Response
again from the Orange to double support ult as Maxwell goes out with theirs as well. Shouldn't matter much, there's nobody in it. But Lunar, Azer, B-Dog, they all collect themselves for another real streak here as Clear goes down as well. The Orange have a team kill. Phenomenal job. 3 ults used by Boise State. No, 4, excuse me, by Boise State. And 3 used by the Orange. I like those odds, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, that was good from the side of Syracuse, and they're able to find Strider immediately again. Domina just booms into this composition here, but a trade on to Saint goes forward.
Poke makes sense in some senses, but I just don't think it does here. Maxwell and Hex get rid of Mac and Saint, though Clear goes down, who has really struggled all night on that sim. Lyric again goes down to the diving Lunar. Again, once forward, goes for that self-destruct, trying to use it as a shield. He will be able to get the tank back. The mech back comes, excuse me, and now full tank once again. Lunar able to get rid of Maxwell with that renewed mech. Overtime here. Orange playing for game 1. Looking again towards what Strider is now on that wrecking ball, but immediately goes down to the help of that team forward. Azer gets rid of Hex. A 20 kill streak for the Orange tank. Again, throwing that pulse bomb down. It doesn't get any utility other than the teleporter, but it's enough for the Orange to stay around and keep on keeping on. Orange are up 1-0. And we hope that that's the sign of a win today, not a sign of a 2-0 slowly creeping back yesterday. We'll talk about that a little later, but Syracuse Rocket League did not have a phenomenal night last night.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it happens sometimes, and that's the strength of this Boise State squad at large.
Watch our main support get a play of the game here. That's 2 eliminations, 2 assists. Oh, yeah. Right into the wall. Wow. Wow. Shout out Jackson.
Good old Saint.
Not standing up, so I don't know if he's gonna.
He's not behind the window this time.
Not
so.
yet. Not yet.
Not yet. This is true.
Anyway, that was a very interesting match in the sense of the first matchup. You expected that from Boise State. That wrecking ball isn't really working. It won't work as much on Samoa as it might in other maps. The fundamentals weren't there for the Orange all the time, but Boise State just didn't have it the entire time. Is the big thing right there. Need to find a way to play together as a team. First map was a little bit better. But once you got on the Domina and you got on a Symmetra, that just was not the comp. I don't know where that came from or where that was brewed up, but the experiment failed in any sense. The Orange struggled some, but way less than they did on Game 1. They did a very good job on Game 2 to clean up what was a roster that was playing into their strength.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? This Syracuse squad, the biggest thing for them today, yes, these new characters are playable. Yes, it is patch day. Don't change anything up. This is working for you. Don't try to be cheeky. Don't be unique. Don't do anything crazy. Just play the game you know how to play it. That's what we saw from Syracuse. Boise State, they're playing a little bit more unique, right? As they always have been. But they're making a little bit more interesting, unique changes, right? Bringing out the Domina, for instance, was a really big change for them. And so for Syracuse specifically, right, they need to continue to work with what they have, work with what they know, right? That's always been their struggle in patch day in the past, has been they've been trying to just change it up, right? They're like, oh, well, this character should be good now. I'm going to play them because they're broken. Don't do that. Play what you've been playing, play what you know is good, like you just did, and the rest of the series should go your way, especially if Boise State still tries to make something work here, still tries to adapt a little bit to what they can play and what there is to play, and you just continue to take control of this.
If you're the coach right now to this team, you look at them in the eyes, you put your hand on their shoulder, and you say, "You the real broken hero." And you tell them that what they do is enough to push themselves forward. They have to play. That was not on camera. That's really funny.
Would it be Knuff?
Would it be Knuff?
Knuff.
Did I say something? I don't know. I'm missing the joke there.
Knuff. K-E-N.
Oh.
All right, man.
I get you. I get you.
Did you not watch Barbie?
I did, but I watched it right after a month of In the Woods, so I do not have any recollection of anything. There was a very I go hiking. Anyway, it's going to be a trek for the Orange to find their way to the win here, even up 1-0 as we go back on topic here very briefly, as we always do. Go off topic.
You have to. You have to keep people on the toes.
It's true. The Orange Citrus has been very good. It's been juice for them if you're looking at it that way. And by that, it's baseball season coming up. If you don't know what juice is, it's power. It's a lot of strength. And they did a very good job as a team playing together and playing to their strengths, to their juice. They're a very good team when they are on. They're a very good team when they play right, when they communicate correctly. And that is an example right there of what good communication looks like between the Orange, because they back up when they need to against that Domina. There was very clear moments where the entire team knew, hey, this shield is right here and it can't move. We either have to make a decision to move back out of the way or move forward into it, because that shield not being able to move and having a 14-second cooldown is really not ideal. It's a situation where if it had less boost and you could deploy it more in different spots, it'd be different. But the big thing for Domina is that now you are essentially forcing the team to make a decision, and you like it when that decision is directly at you when you have the advantage, or directly away from you and you have the disadvantage, but often you can't choose, and it's on the other team to make that decision, and the Orange made the right decision every time. For Domina, it's an A or a B option. They chose the right path, they posed the right fork in the road, and they'll keep going on with this, and they need to keep communicating like that to win.
Yeah, exactly, right? And that communication throughout this series, Boise State is a tough team. There's a reason that they are still one of the best in the nation. You have to continue that forward for the rest of the series.
OWCR ranking? OWCRA ranking?
I want to say they got bumped to 22. They just fell out of top 20.
No, I know they're in top 20.
Then they're 17.
Then they're 17.
It's one of those two.
I know Ohio State is the 22.
Then they're 17.
They're the just out team.
Then I think they're 17. That should be it. That should be it. We'll take a look when we get into the game. But speaking of the game, Blizzard World, a map that has always been my personal favorite to run dive on, but they banned Diva.
Okay.
So we might see some Winston.
Yeah, Winston is the other character that's making kind of not a comeback. I won't call it that, because Winston's been a part of the meta in certain places everywhere.
This is true.
And Don Blizzard World is one of those places. It's just, you see Blizzard World as often as you see a solar eclipse. Not often. It takes a few decades to see it, and I'm glad we've seen it. It's always against Boise State, where they have these not exactly weird comps, but it's definitely different. And part of that will be in something that never changes, the support. We'll look at our main support. We just had the play of the game. It's Jackson Phillips out of Orland, Pennsylvania. Yeah. I don't know.
Pennsylvania.
That's a very close. That's like probably our closest student. Lucas is from California, by the way. He's not from Syracuse. I apologize earlier. His international relations major, Saint is. He's a very boisterous guy. He's got his personality. We always see him all the time. He's a very interesting guy, and he's the kind of guy you want on your main support.
He's a fun guy.
He doesn't IGL, but he does certainly bark orders, and he does certainly say really funny things while he does it.
He micromanages his team. That's his job.
Yes.
His job is
when
to
you're the
tell.
support, you're seeing everything.
Yeah. His job is to literally tell the fight planner, "Hey, don't do that. Let's be smart. Or as Jackson likes to say, let's be happy kittens and not grumpy cats. That is one of his favorite things to say, because when team morale gets down, that is what he will always say to his team. It's like, guys, let's not be grumpy cats. Let's be happy kittens.
Syracuse.
And it's always going to be what it's going to be.
Kiriko ban.
All right.
Now explain that, because I know you really want to explain that. I saw the joy flicker in your eyes there.
I mean, look, here's the thing, right? I don't mind the Kiriko ban because now you can run Winston with an on and brig. Winston on a brig is chef's kiss. It is a beautiful composition. It brings you back to Overwatch 1. It is a phenomenal composition. The reason it is because it really showcases your backline intelligence and your backline capability, because when they're on this on a brig, they're able to work with one, they're able to negate any dive onto themselves, and they're the type of support line when you're on a brig to be able to 2v4 and win a fight. That is how good this backline is, but you never really get to see it because most teams can't really play it that well. So I'm really excited to see this. The Diva ban coming in from Boise makes sense because now they can sort of play the Wrecking Ball for free. And was I correct? Of course I was correct.
This Syracuse New York diner does dive the old-fashioned way here, as B-Dog and Saint going to be on that Brigana, and immediately there's two right there. Mac.
There's the boop.
Mac. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Mac just gets grappled and toppled. And really, Strider just came in like a wrecking ball and got 20% of ult charge. Very good job from Boise State there. That is the right call to make, and that is the right decision they all just made. And a very bad start for the Orange, though I won't say that that is necessarily too impactful here. They'll lose about 10 seconds of time, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, biggest thing, though, right, on this Winston, you don't have a hardcore dive, and into Wu Yang Brig, it's going to be hard to find value, and the Vendetta to walk in with Strider is going to be very, very scary onto Mac and onto B-Dog here, so you can't let them get split, or if you will, or if you do, Clear will get full value on your backline.
It's really interesting to see how that Wu Yang will play out here, because I think Ana has more range, but Lyric probably has a bit more fightability. They can really get involved into those fights. Max was able to get Mac immediately. Wouldn't be surprised to see a switch off of that Casty immediately. The Wu Yang goes down. Lunar in that backline, and nobody from Boise State is even looking back there. It's just unchecked entirely. They try and go through the Syracuse backline, which the whole point of it is that it's hard to get rid of. Either way, though, enough Boise State defenders are there as Hex goes down one poke at distance from Lunar, who does end up going down to Strider, and the Orange have a tough time immediately here. Clear on that Vendetta, a big reason.
Yeah, and another thing to consider with this on a break backline compared to what Boise State is running is on this specific composition, it's kind of a do or die, right? You've got to have your players in position, and you've got to have them working together and ready for an engage from the enemy team. If not, you're going to start to split like we just saw. Hex fully rotated around because, right, Lunar went in, bubbled them off, but didn't go for the kill. Hex gets behind, gets a free kill, and the rest of Boise just sorts to stagger themselves back into the fight and take the victory.
Yeah, and it's the first time a stagger's ever been good. There's a Vendetta right there on the left that none of them have seen so far. Okay, they'll back off of it. Vendetta will walk away. Anyway, capturing forward, it's going to be Lunar in that back line unchecked again. They're both trying to do the same thing.
How?
Really, the E right there from Soldiers got a buff, and it's a nano on our Winston. Azer getting rid of one with a pulse bomb. It's Maxel who goes down. Orange capturing right now. The nanoed Winston into the other end, trying to get rid of the Wu Yang, and it's again limited value for Wu Yang, who's barely stayed alive. There's a Brig right there, and he just decides he's going to go primal and throw them off this bridge at some point. But what you're not seeing right now is the back line where Mac's able to get rid of one and Clear. Mac another one in Hex with the assistance of Lunar. Lunar, entire job is normally to get rid and get big picks in that back line, but is essentially serving enough as a distraction for the entire team to just walk forward and clean everything else up. They do a very good job. Boise State forced on the back end. This could be a very big stagger. They get it. Lunar with a charge shot. Maxwell goes down, and the Orange have point and are moving it forward. Here's Azer on the point with those Jade Tracer guns.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it comes down to this Soldier 76 pick instead of a Sojourn or a Cassidy. It's just, it's so hard to find the value. Lunar, though, finds two.
Two in that ante for Hex and Clear. Lunar was the beneficiary of a great play by B-Dog. You love to see a good E from Ana. You don't see it too often because Ana is really out of the meta right now in a lot of places, but Blizzard World has enough space to make it work. Lunar jumps back off of that play as Strider nearly goes down as well. Orange not able to do much either with Lunar, who has to back up, buy some more time for this Orange team as they slowly push its Tracer on. Clear goes down to that anti-nade. Hex able to get Mac, though. Forward again, it's Maxwell on St. B-Dog again. They've got a lot of value going and how much damage they can do, and the healing is there for Boise State. One Winston, unfortunately, cannot take on four for the Orange, and they'll back off. Azer getting hunted down by that Strider Wrecking Ball. I keep saying almost saying hamster.
I mean, Hammond, it is a hamster. You know, I mean, it works, right? Rat, as some people like to call it.
Yeah, that feels like mean to the hamster community.
Well, you know, when you're the back line and there's a hamster on you, they kind of get annoyed, and you want to call them a rat.
That's totally fair.
It's fair enough.
Mac forward has that mythic skin on that gun, so that's why you're seeing that special thing at the bottom, that special overlay. Forward again for this orange squad, who really needs to find a way here to just get it together and play together, which they've been struggling with earlier. They have a lot less damage potential in this Boise State squad, which doesn't necessarily mean that much. They just have to play with it a little bit better, and that's a good start. Wu Yang goes down. Vendetta charging on that ult, literally misses Lunar entirely, then goes down to the Primal. Great play from the orange tank. Hex gets rid of Azer in the back, trying to defend the back line. Excuse me. They back up once more, and here comes the Deadeye. Get out of the line of sight, and they do. It'll be good for everyone else but Mac. Saint gets rid of Hex in that other end, and now without a support, this Boise State squad is going to have to try and find their way back on that team basically rebuild. They go back to the site. Orange collect the checkpoint in 3 minutes now for the Orange to get to the end.
Oh, and Maxwell's back on point 1.
Oh, and Lunar just, what is that, a 20-second stagger, technically?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a really good stagger for Syracuse. This third point, pretty notorious on Blizzard World to just get around this first corner, and they're going to be able to do it pretty well. But Clear gets in, but is immediately taken down.
Strider gets rid of Mac. That's the cost the Orange get to get rid of the Vendetta. I will take that every time. Vendetta is nerfed, but not nerfed enough to really make a huge difference. Still does a great deal of damage unchecked in the backline. They do a good job of turning around, which is all Overwatch is at some certain points. 2 minutes and 30 seconds remain for this Orange squad to deliver this payload. Too little health for Lunar to push forward, but Strider goes down as well. Both tanks dueling until the very end. Lunar the beneficiary. Clear and Strider are the ones that go down in that team fight. They back up once again. Orange continuing to fight, this time without a tank, trying to get the most space that they can at a primary space grabber for this Broncos side. Really struggling for Boise State. This real interesting Overwatch machine that they have has really come to a slowdown recently, and it's odd to see them struggle like this. They go to the end here. Saint and Azer, they get one more again. Clear goes down, Lyric goes down, and again, Strider, just nobody there in time. They pop down every ult that they've got left, and the Orange have themselves 3 points on this first half.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse, this is what I was talking about, right? Don't make any changes. Don't try to be cheeky. Play what you know, right? And this is what you want to see from Syracuse, and this is what they really need right now, right? This match against Boise, there's a lot riding on it, and you cannot really afford to lose it. You have to make sure you win this, right? Because, one, it keeps you in contention for top 3, right? Because then you got to deal with Utah and Ohio, but worry about them later, right?
There's no buys anyway, by the way, because there's 8 teams.
Yeah, so
there's likely no buys, or there's a double buy, and either way, the Orange aren't in a buy, so.
Yeah, and you want to put yourself in position to not have to go up against a very difficult team. Now, the counterpart to this, right, is obviously Boise and Syracuse moving around seats 3, 4, not really 5. It really depends on how Kansas performs for the rest of the semester. But, you know, between these teams, it's going to be really important because there are no buys. You want to do everything you can going into Vegas. But also, this is going to be good for Syracuse's morale, just in general, right? You come off 2 losses from Ohio State and from Utah, and you really need this. This is a big kickback for Syracuse to bring themselves back into the game. And, you know, at the end of the day, this is working for them, right? Boise State, they're making a switch up here. They're going to Yana Brig as well. Maxwell, however, going to be on Emre.
Yeah, and that's interesting because he was playing Soldier, which means he's also playing Soldier again, but this time with advanced dynamics.
Yeah.
And a different amount of damage per shot. It's a similar DPS to Soldier, to be honest with you, but it certainly is a lot more forgiving and has its advantages, so we'll see how they go, and especially that ult, which we'll talk about. It's the living weapon. Maxwell will turn essentially into a flying laser weapon. That's the best way I can describe it. There's a lot of damage in that form. Lasts, I believe, 12 seconds, and will do a lot to the Orange if they can't address it.
Yeah, I mean, Maxwell on this Emre is going to be really important to watch for, but Clear falls down early. Someone's contesting over on that point, but they're going to be backed over back into this room once again. And just like that, I mean, Syracuse, they're not getting greedy. They're taking advantage where they can, and they're keeping Boise at bay.
Somebody on Boise says you can't C9 them down 3-0 as they all go decide to fight into that corner. Now heading towards site, they will. But once separated, it's going to be up I thought they just went off the map. I forgot that they have a grapple hook. They'll back up again. They'll get some refresh teamwork here as they try and recuperate back by that gate. It's going to be the main holding choke point for the Orange as long as they can. It's very difficult to hold, but it's very rewarding if you do. They nearly go down to that other end. Tracer really trying to deal with it alone, and a poor movement might do it. Maxwell and Clear, though, able to get 2. While the Orange DPS are distracted back on that other site. Saint trying to play forward with their team. They go back on that other side. It's Lunar who goes down as well, which is a very big loss right now. Basically, let Strider play the game that they haven't been allowed to for so long. Maxwell getting one, Clear getting another. Fairly big stagger. Azer will just go on the site, throw one down, and does get one. So interesting value there. They might have the opportunity to jump back into this team fight if they wish.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely can here. I don't know if I would, right? You're already down. Azer, you probably don't. Yep, and they're not going to, right? But these are the smallest mistakes. I don't know if you noticed it, Carson. Right, Mac was shooting at Strider, had a lot of damage onto them, and then looked away. And Azer went to go 1v1 Strider, and Strider ended up winning that fight. And just like that, those are the small mistakes. Boise, even though they looked a little bit struggling in that first round, they are bringing themselves back. They're taking control. There's the laser beam of death as Maxwell finds 3 into this fight.
Emre's living weapon form essentially will get 4 as Clear gets rid of Lunar, and they use their best ult, so the Orange are just going to be, okay, we'll take what we got, and we'll just move on. We've got 3 ults, almost 4 ourselves. So we'll just take a moment here and understand as a team that Emre's ult is completely kind of broken. It is. It's pretty broken.
And that was without a nano, by the way. I just want to point that. But these are the tiny mistakes that you have to be aware of, because Boise will capitalize as they do sometimes in general. Clear finds one on to B-Dog. Mac falls incredibly low, needs to find their way back, but Strider finds him. Strider finds Saint as well. And now you're going to see the rest of Syracuse sort of just starts to straggle back. Lyric does fall, but Boise State, this is where things start to snowball, right? They picked this map for a reason. They're now finding their way into this composition. Like I said, that Soldier 76 worried me, but now that Maxwell's on Emre, it's a totally different story.
Gonna be interesting here. We have a nano on the Tracer, forward again, as he is stuck. Back up again. I don't know if they meant to do that, but it ended up kind of working. They actually were kind of afraid of that nano Tracer. They'll take some space backwards. Saint getting rid of Maxwell. It's a very big one. No Emre around is going to just really topple how much damage you can do, especially with only a Tracer. Backing up again into this corner. They're trying to find a way out, but Tracer not able to run away. Saint chases after, does a very good job with the brick dash, if you will, and the shield bash. Shield dash? I'd call it a shield dash.
It's a shield dash. Yeah.
Mac gets rid of one with the right click, and Mac on Sojourn might just be what this Orange squad needs to recuperate and get themselves back on track here.
Yeah, we talk about adaptation, Carson, right? Max will switch to the Emre, and almost two fights later, Max switches over to the Sojourn and off the Cassidy. This is the type of adaptation you want to see. Not risky adaptation, but needed adaptation. And this, if you're a Syracuse fan, is really good. Mac does go down early, though.
Curious if Mac goes down a few more times, whether they'll switch back onto Emre or not. So them playing it earlier. Lunar anti, but gets rid of Max. Just going to go into the Primal, gets slept, but it is a big loss of utility usage. Now the other team opened up to using the ults here. Might see Saint go for one here. Lunar able to get rid of Lyric, and now it's more comfortable for the Orange to use value here, knowing that you have more team here. Orange nearly give up the point just by not being there. Clear gets rid of Mac on the second time. They get back to the same team fight. They can't get any value again. Forward into that Wrecking Ball, they're trying their best to move it forward. Boise State cannot. Strider gets rid of Saint, though, in the chaos. Might have an opportunity to go back here, but a minute 50 seconds remaining, only 2.6 meters. Math says the Broncos can do it.
Yeah, and I mean Syracuse as well. Here comes the Nano, and here comes the Emre ultimate. Lyric finds one, Maxwell finds 2, Carson. And that's what I was talking about, right? It gets scary, but a Nano return on the Lunar.
Yeah, just not much they can do there generally. You'd have to really do what you can at a certain point, and the Orange are doing that. It's a nanoed Winston back on point. Point is now 3.3 meters away. Saint will jump on in time to stop it a little more. Going for every inch here, the Orange are. Mac on the Widowmaker is pretty interesting. I think just to hold it off, they're going to switch again here back to Sojourn because they just used their ult. But interesting to fight for every inch there, and it's more because they know that they have to get to the end to tie it, and they're really taking precious time away from the Broncos no matter what.
Yeah, Maxwell going to make another... Okay, never mind. I lied. They were hovering over Bastion for a second. I was a little curious to see that. But going to go back to their original composition here. Now, Boise, they can match Syracuse's time, but this fight's got to go perfect. No stall from Syracuse from them, but that's going to be a struggle as Clear gets railed down by Mac.
It's a very good right click from Mac. They move forward again. Saint, another one in Hex, and
And a pause.
Now hold on just a minute. Now
Take a second.
pause.
Take a breath.
I assume that's tech related.
Yeah.
We will get an update here in the booth soon when we know what it is, but normally that is a tech pause. We'll say when we know, obviously, but you secretly hope that one of them is having a tech issue because you made them really mad. Is that what you hope when there's a tech pause?
Sure.
Like
you
hope a keyboard slam has happened on the other side and someone's thing has been unplugged?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
we'll
all you
have
can
to
hope
see.
for. Total tilt.
Yep, have to see overall, but at the end of the day, right, I mean, this is what we're talking about between these two compositions and this adaptation from these teams, right? It's simple, it's easy, it's not overcomplicated. But what I was mentioning earlier is, right, Boise looked like they were struggling on map 1, and that can't be denied, right? And Syracuse won that map 2-0. You move them on to Blizzard World, you can't get cocky, though, right? Boise State is still a very, very good team. Just to correct myself, right, they are 12th seed, not 17th in the country, so they're actually higher than we thought, according to OWCRA. So this is not only a big win for Syracuse, but something to be aware of if you are Boise, but they're a team that will punish you for those small mistakes, and that's why Boise's been able to sort of bring themselves forward a little bit.
I think we've got the time, so I am curious. OWCRA, explain for the viewers at home who makes those ratings and rankings, rather, and what they are.
Right, so the Overwatch Collegiate Ranking Association is compiled of a group of folks.
Which I am not a member.
I am not
sorry,
either.
I thought it'd be funny to. Which I don't work.
I'm not either. Now, I've put in my bid to a couple people that I know that I should be, but I'm not, unfortunately. I think I can make some pretty good guesstimates of things, but it's okay. OWCRA, they're a group of people in this collegiate space, but I'm going to shut up. Carson, as you were.
We are back. Lunar gets rid of Lyric, was flying in the air at the Ana when it got paused. Kind of just unpaused and got an elimination, which I assume was good. But we mentioned how in stagger that is for how big the stagger is, for this Boise State squad, and how they will not have the time in the Orange Roll if this does go to overtime. But right now, Broncos more focused on getting it from 48 meters to 111 at this point. Need to find a way to get to the end to force an overtime. Broncos without that currently. Back up forward. That's a pulse bomb from Clear. Just missed everyone. Wasn't on the right side either. Gotta wonder how you use your util, and for some reason it's always that pulse bomb that just misses so wayward that could really make a big difference. Strider able to get rid of Saint into that other section, but the Orange are putting out enough damage to really slow them down. They need to back up though, and Mac too far forward. Maxol gets them on that on that headshot again. For Maxwell, Lyric again getting rid of the other Ana, and Clear getting rid of Lunar. This could be a very big push for this Boise State squad as Saint waiting for their team to get out.
Yeah, this is really important. Boise State, needs to win this if they want to continue this forward without a potential just overtime into a loss or only drawable situation. But someone's got a touch point for Syracuse. Someone's got a touch point for Syracuse!
Nobody ever comes out in time, and with 4 meters, Lunar bumps his head on a gate. You're hoping, I think, for Lunar to touch there, but you need somebody else to, and that is not a good feeling. Have to play better than that. But that being said, you did still get another minute off of them with that stagger earlier. This is not a loss here. If you look at it that way, it certainly won't feel good. I would say it's a C9 if at one point you had to be on point for it to be a C9.
This is true, right? I mean, if you're Syracuse, you could see the gears turning, right? They were like, all right, we're going to nano the Winston, we're going to get on point. I think there may have just been a little miscommunication at the end there, and they were like, oh, we're going to do this. And then it kind of just, it lagged IRL in a second, and they couldn't quite get on the point. But if you are Syracuse, right, you're still in a fine spot. You have 59 more seconds than Boise State did to get yourself onto point. Now, this is what I want to consider, though, is right, Boise was able to get onto point rather fast because of a very, very small but crucial mistake from Syracuse. Syracuse got onto point after a more prolonged, sort of sustained fight, so they both got on point in very different ways. Syracuse still has the ability to play on that more sustained fight. They've got 2 minutes, right? 1 minute, or 2 minutes less than the normal time. Boise, on the other hand, they have to they didn't win off of a, good play. They won off of a small mistake from Syracuse. Can they do that again now that they're back on this attacking side? They kind of only have a chance for one fight, Maxwell, on the Freya here.
We'll talk a little bit more about these teams as we go on in terms of how they're playing, but what this means right now, Boise State is one of 3 teams. 1, 2, and 3 are all 9-3 right now. They have the same record. They're all fighting for what is a game versus a Nebraska team, potentially, who has not won a game this semester, I believe this year right now, in their first year of competition at the PEC level for Overwatch, or playing a Kansas team who already upset Boise State with a full roster earlier this year. These spots really matter, and these seeds really matter. They're playing for a lot on the table, and for the Orange, it's to get into that site. It's to be able to play, you know, maybe a Baylor instead of a Kansas, because nobody really wants to draw Kansas, because the Jayhawks do have the real potential to do some serious damage. Maxwell gets rid of Mac. The team fight goes poorly. It's a great sleep onto Lunar. Hex goes and gets rid of them.
Oh, and Maxwell dies there if that sleep doesn't connect, and that's going to be it. Yeah, Syracuse going to struggle to get themselves back on a point. Mac is going to switch over to the Sombra. Probably going to, yeah, not going to stay on the Sombra there, but that's going to be Boise securing this point. Maxwell putting a lot of pressure on that back line, on that Ana Brig, and something to be scared of if you have a Strider and a Clear who's able to just jump onto that connection with the Freya. You do see one swap on the Sojourn.
Blizzard World is going to be a very big map for Strider. It's going to have a lot of space, and that's what we saw there. It kind of creates those moments, those 1-2 moments where you have to get a punch off, where they will, and they'll win the fight. It's two knockout blows going directly at each other, and the Orange may have just received it. Obviously, we'll see what they do on the offensive side. They have to find a way to stop the point as soon as possible. They can't really play this charity and give them as many yards as they can, or meters, I should say, in the Imperial system, not the glorious American system, as Maxwell's able to get one. Freya ult has done a fantastic job, but it's a nanoed Winston. One nearly gets stuck. What it does do is force them off point. Again, on a forward, goes down to Lunar, looking for anything. Syracuse trying to get out of it, but Saint gets rid of Hex and Lyric. They both go down. There's no support. The Orange have to fight all they can to get rid of the Speed Hog, able to get rid of Maxwell. But the main thing is there's just not enough damage out there without Lunar, or not enough health out there, really, for anybody to survive that fight.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse, they desperately needed to win that fight. They invested support ultimates there, Carson, and Boise State, wait, I lied!
Yeah, I mean, they do a great job. Strider and Clear go down, and nobody on the side of Boise State thought to switch to a character that had any mobility. And they just don't have enough time. The Orange only let it go 2 or 3 more meters. And the main thing that happens there is Boise State is just left on the back foot, and there's nobody there. They chose all heroes that had any movement mobility, so they just had to sit there and wait and just be like, boy, I hope they can hold for another 30 seconds with a full team fight with no support. And
I mean,
simple math is no.
I got worried there for a second, right? I mean, sure, Boise, they lost some members, but they were able to get themselves back onto the point. Syracuse invested both support ultimates. Frankly, if Boise got back, they had Nano and they had Rally coming back in, they win the point. It's that simple. You do not win that point without support ultimates to contest back into that. So I got a little worried there, but Syracuse managing to hold strong. A's are very, very good with that blank usage, keeping themselves alive as needed, and kept themselves back into that fight. Now we take a look at the side of Boise State, doing their changes accordingly. Clear on Reaper, Maxwell on Cassidy. They are playing hard into this Winston counter dive where they don't have to play against it as much as they did previously.
What this is, for me, that Boise State is running, is it's a hot pocket.
Okay.
What
type of hot pocket?
Do you know when you bite into a hot pocket?
I do. I want a hot pocket now.
And it's so hot. It burns your tongue.
Well, it is a hot pocket.
It always burns your tongue, without fail. And then you cannot taste the rest of it, and it's just like you're eating bread with something inside of it that you can't taste because all of your taste buds have been incinerated. That's what Boise State is playing right now. If you engage them in any which wrong way, you will not have taste buds.
Hot pocket.
You will not have taste buds. And with 1 minute and 40 seconds, what they're doing is forcing the Orange to be patient and run out of time, because if they advance too close, if they go too quickly on this dive, that Lunar's just going to get torn up by that Reaper, and his tongue is going to be burnt for the whole week.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I want to argue there, Carson. That was some pretty sound logic.
Yeah, and there it is. Clear goes down because, I mean, the Orange just walk right into it, and it's a team kill.
Yeah, I mean, that was a quick fight, quick win for Boise. And Syracuse, it's fine to take those quick fights like that. You have 2 more to your name, but you build 0 ultimates when you lose a fight like that compared to the side of Boise, where Clear built 50%, Maxwell built 60%. These DPS ultimates are going to be there before Azer even has a pulse bomb, which is the fastest ult charge in these 10 players here. Syracuse needs to make something happen, but B-Dog goes down to Lyric.
You forgot to let your hot pocket cut in half and cool, and they're burning their tongue, and now there's no time. They have work in 5 minutes. They need to eat right now. And the Orange, they can't find a bite out of this Boise State defense, doing a fantastic job, keeping them in range. But if that Reaper goes down, you can imagine everything might just change in a moment here. No support on that other end, and that's big. Strider goes down. Hex They get rid of Lunar, though, so no tanks. We're playing small ball, no centers on the court. They try and find a way forward, 27 seconds. Orange need to just play better, essentially, with their supports. Tanks will come back for both sides in time, but it's a dead-eye. They'll have a capture onto site here. It'll be in just about the same situation if they can fully cap here as Boise State had in this possession. Strider onto point. They get rid of Mac, but Lunar is back on the other side doing big damage. Saint goes down as well. This could be it for the Orange if they can't find an advantage here. Master gets rid of B-Dog, just going unchecked as the rest of the Orange don't turn around. And when it's a game of turning around, you have to do it. And goodness gracious, Azer just run over to end the game, and Boise State is even the series at 1.
Yeah, I mean, that was Boise State making some great adaptations, and like you said, I really don't want to do the comparison, but
it worked.
It worked very well. I mean, Syracuse, they bit into the hot pocket before they were ready, and it was too hot for them.
They burnt their tongue.
They burnt their tongue. Hang on,
you want that taste of victory, and they couldn't get it here. And this is the ult, by the way, of Maxwell, where they got 3 kills. I mean, that is absurd. That is a character who is literally 65 meters away from you doing 50 damage a shot. Yeah. Minimum. At worst, when they miss you all the way and it's only area.
Carson, do you cut your hot pockets in half? You said that.
So what you have to do, as we dissect the replay, when you finish it, you cut it in half kind of diagonally, so you get the most surface area outside of it cooler.
Okay. So you cut your hot pocket in half?
Afterwards, so I can cool it, so it doesn't hurt my tongue. Because I would like to eat the food that I just made within the first 15 minutes.
But like, if you want to eat it...
I'm being made fun of right now by Broad, by the way, and I have to dissect that is completely normal.
No, it's not.
What? You're making a hot pocket
so you can walk to work.
I don't walk to work. I drive.
You eat it in the car.
I can't have the burning hot lava come boil me in the car, man.
No, that's coffee from McDonald's.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
That's maybe the real the friends along the way or something, man. Anyway, we'll talk. That replay you saw there, it was the Orange essentially not being able to get rid of this Boise State defense at the very end. Difficult, very difficult to engage in that Boise State squad, especially with the Reaper. They played a great job there. Now, we talk about experimenting and how Boise State likes that. First game, no, don't do what you were doing there. That's just wrong. But the second game, that's great. You want to experiment in response. You never want to experiment for the opener. You don't want to just go out there and only throw curveballs, because by the second time that hitter's up, he's going to crush that. And that's what the Orange did the first game, but last time out, suddenly it was all curveballs after only being fastballs. You got to change your looks, and that's what Boise State did.
Yeah, it's like putting a chip in a PB&J. You know, do something you're comfortable with, not something crazy, not something too unique, right? So, in general, right?
You are comfortable with putting a chip in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
You never done that before?
No, but I think I understand, because like if you put a Lay's in there, it's like a nice salty feel, and there's nothing on a Lay's chip but salt.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm seeing Prod is telling me a pretzel, which is wrong. Just for the record,
that is wrong.
That is wrong.
Actually, that works. Thank you, Prod. Right? You put a chip in a PB&J. It's unique. It's different, but it works because it's sort of something you already felt out, right?
Yeah.
Put a pretzel in a PB&J, doesn't work. Don't do it. That was kind of map 1 for Boise compared to map 2 for Boise, where they put a chip in their PB&J, something they were more used to. They sort of played with a little bit more. They experimented with a little bit more, and they made it work. Moving into map 3, where we're going to move whoa. We're going to be moving over to Esperanza.
We're in a great day.
It's going to be a similar situation, right? Can you make things different but work, or are you going to be too experimental?
And for push, it's hard to be experimental because of how much this space really takes up. The Orange lost last week. The Orange, yes, they won on push last week on New Queen Street.
Yes.
And Esperanza is different in a lot of ways because it opens it up a lot more. What they like about New Queen Street is because of the way their team is built and functions, it's a lot more comfortable. It's so much more comfortable to play because you have those spaces where you can always get behind a corner. You can always go and hide somewhere in those team fights. But on Esperanza, it's totally different. Somebody is going to find you, and somebody is going to eliminate you. It's a team fight everywhere because it's so open comparatively to New Queen Street. And that's an interesting idea for the Oranges. Now you have a lot more safety because they banned ball. So that means a lot less mobility for Boise State. I mean, they can just play Diva, and I'm sure they will. But also an Ana ban from the Orange here is really interesting as well because it kind of plays into them wanting to ban...
It's interesting because...
It's weird because you would expect those teams to ban the other way, I think.
No, that's what happened.
I know,
the ball ban came from Syracuse.
Yes, the ball ban... Oh, excuse me. The ball ban came from Syracuse, and the Ana ban came from Boise. So it's just... I don't know
it's
what
kind of
you're
like
doing
you're
if you're Boise.
replaying what happened on map 1, but without the ball. Because, right, you still have the Diva, right? Because Boise banned Diva map 2,
Yeah.
right? So now Lunar can play the Diva, and I think the Ana ban comes very specific because on Esperanza you do see Ana Brig very frequently, or a Curie Lucio, right? And so now you can't really play that Winston with the Ana Brig because of that Ana ban.
Yeah.
So both teams will likely be mirrored into, okay, correction. Both teams, if Syracuse was not playing Boise, would be mirrored into a Diva mirror. However, we're playing Boise.
We get in Hazard.
I was gonna say Junker Queen. We've seen
totally
them play
reasonable.
Junker Queen with a Cassidy before, and it just walked across Syracuse last year. But last year, and it was just disgusting for no reason. But so a normal team, I'd say yes, you'd see the mirror. But the good thing is, now you get to have Lunar back on the Diva, and he showed so much prowess originally.
Yeah, if you've ever... this is very niche information that I do not expect anybody in the audience to know. But if you know the program director of Boise State, Doc Haskell, he made a book that's kind of all about being different.
Yes.
And it has an Overwatch section, and it was just happened to be around me, I think, at some point, and I ended up reading a lot of the Overwatch section.
Yeah.
And they pride themselves on being different at Boise State because they know that it's very hard to get a look against somebody who's doing something their own way. You can't practice against somebody. You can't practice against somebody doing something completely unique.
Yeah.
It's the Sidewinder in the MLB. It's the kind of guy who throws submarine. You just can't prepare for it. It's just something you have to adapt to. And Boise State's great at adaptation, and that's kind of their program role. They always want to find a way to get the edge on it, whether it's better players, and that's what it was at the beginning. But now it's better strategy. It's finding a way to look at what the meta is and finding the direct counter to the meta in order for them to switch into something. And it's knowing how this game works. They look a lot more at what the other teams do, which is why it's interesting to me they banned Ana, because Ana's not something we play at all on Esperanza.
Not really, no. And I actually also read part of that book. I'm 57 pages into the book, actually.
How many pages is the book?
I think 112,
Yeah,
111, something like that. So I'm like halfway through.
Halfway,
Yeah, I know. I got bored in the office one day, and I was like, hey, it's on the table. And it was interesting. Shout out Doc. But I was reading through it, and did you get to the R's?
I did get
Doc's
to the R's.
Yeah. Well, there was one that I don't remember if this was an R, but one thing that you mentioned, right? In the book, Doc talks about how they were playing Valorant on the main stage, and they did not have their best player. They did not have their IGL in, and so they pulled out a freshman that was very, very new, threw them against, I believe it was GCU, Grand Canyon University, threw them in the game and said, good luck. And they adapted. First off, great credit to the player, right? But second off, the team adapted. They did not get mad at themselves. They didn't sort of have bad mental about it. They got in and they won the series with a new adaptation and with proper mentals. And that's the biggest thing with this Boise State squad is they lose a map. They're like, all right, that didn't work. Let's do something else. Let's adapt. Let's change. Let's not be upset about it.
What am I seeing? Okay, so you guys can't see it, but there is Genji in the year 2026, which, if you're familiar with how the meta just changed, not normal. But that being said, it's really interesting because now you have a Genji. Oh, never mind. There's a Torb. All right.
Maxwell has hovered Torb every time in the spawn so far. I'm not thinking we're going to see Torb.
Do you think he's been begging his team
No way.
to play Torb?
No.
Yeah,
No.
and they finally somebody finally said yes. Let's go. Maxwell on the Torbjorn.
No.
Orange tied 1-1 with the Broncos. They try and find their way against the bad guys to keep the good guys alive. They lose the last one. Have been great on push so far this semester, 4-1. The only loss coming to Ohio State on that push to end the game earlier this half.
Yeah, and this is going to be sort of the struggle with Syracuse is you're playing Diva and Zarya now, and that is something to be very, very weary of. Clear finds Mac early. There goes the mech.
Yeah, so what they're doing right now is working because it's just very good together, and that's what Boise State does. A lot of the time, they're very important and focused on trying to play in a way that builds them up as a team, breaks them down because that's a Torbjorn line, and then it's finding a way to play as a team that's going to do the most damage in every sense, and that's what they're doing. Zarya Vendetta is enough there, and Torb is just weird enough to get a very big amount of damage together, and I'm sure this is something they've thought out, because they play a lot of Overwatch. They have minimum hours they have to play a week over there.
Yes, they do. They have minimum hours, and they have to duo with each other. It's one of the things in Doc's book.
It's Doc's book. That book is 3 years old. That may not be 3 years old now. That may not be true still, but they obviously still play together a lot, and that's what you're seeing here. Their composition is weird, but that doesn't mean they don't know how to play with it, because they've always done these kind of things. They practice as they play, and that's a big thing for them. Lyric and Lunar both go down, or Lunar's mech goes down, excuse me. Lunar ends up going down after to clear. Strider gets rid of Saint. It's a very good job on that Zarya for Boise State. And again, Orange are doing a great job. B-Dog able to get a nice little headshot there with the knife, but just not enough. A's are able to get Torbjorn, but it's a very slow game for the Orange, and they just don't have an answer. And the answer will be a mirror, understandably. Not a full mirror because I don't know how much Torb Mac plays.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? Max will play the Torb directly into the Tracer. Clear gets on the backline, the Zarya into the Diva. They were just playing Counterwatch, not Overwatch, and that is why it works so well for them. Lunar now switching to the Zarya, A's are now switching to the Vendetta. Having a little bit more of a mirror into this team makes things a little bit more unique and a little bit more difficult, but the thing is, Syracuse doesn't have the ultimates to match.
Yeah, right now it's going to be really difficult, but there is a Kiriko rush, and that could be enough. Strider goes down, and that's a big one for the Orange. They basically just have an unchecked tank that does so much damage, but nobody there to help. Lunar, just enough support. Fantastic job from the Orange backline, and B-Dog gives their life for the cause. Not enough, though. Saint not there in time, supporting the other half of the team, and Lunar goes down. A's are chasing after this Torb, just trying to get rid of them. They do. Will give their own life for it.
Oh, there's the turret.
They go down to the turret, so revenge from the grave for Maxwell's Torb there, who has his ult, which really fun ult. Area deniability, certainly. We'll get into that when they use it, but it is a lava pool that really does play against the Orange really well.
Yeah, Molten Core, the ultimate for Torbjorn. And it's going to be very difficult, especially for the side of Syracuse, if they choose to brawl in with Lunar and B-Dog and Saint. They're going to walk into this, and there it is, already on the point. They're going to fight on point now, Carson.
Here it comes on the other end, and Lunar goes down so much health because of it. Sound barrier forced to use from Saint. Lunar goes down anyway. Azer able to get rid of Lyric, though, so a lack of support on the backline for Boise State. Azer goes down to that Molten Core, but Mac is cooking with the overcharge. X goes down, trying to win a fight essentially alone at a certain point. And you know what? Mac might just be the kind of guy to do it. Fighting on the other end, it's a Zarya shielded Vendetta, and unfortunately Revenge wins this time against the Orange. They go down as well. Max, Saint, and B-Dog all collected by Maxo, Clear, and Strider, and the Broncos are simply rolling.
Yeah, I mean, they gave them those 7 meters. Clear was patient, waiting around that corner, and then immediately you see that engage come in from Boise State. It's the patience from this squad, and sort of just the mental that they have in this game. They're not overconfident, they're not cocky, they're not underconfident, they're not booming, but they're also giving so much respect to this Syracuse team when they're playing in this composition, especially Azer on this Vendetta, who unfortunately falls to Lyric.
Just a good job from Boise State again. All they do is play it so well, and it's such a weird combo that it's just good enough to work. It's certainly like a barbecue chip on a PB&J, I'd have to say. And
thank you.
For some reason, it tastes good right now. Maxo got rid of Lunar there to end that team fight. The Orange, no answer. Lunar has the ult for the first time, and that's a lot. That'll be the 3rd team fight in a row with Lunar on Zarya. And taking that long on a Zarya to get that ult is really showing how much Boise State is in the driver's seat. They have 105 meters, 107, excuse me. The Orange have a minus a century of that. It is only 7 meters for the Orange. Here comes that Graviton Surge, 2 for Azer, and it's a good start for the Orange. They might just have this low health for Azer, but the Orange able to clean up the rest of the squad. It's a full team kill, as one of them nearly goes down to the Torb turret. But it's Lyric and Hex, the final 2 finished off, and the Orange finally have point for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, and now Boise, they do have forward spawn. They're going to look for an early engage here, but like you said, right, not only does Lunar spend some time to build that ultimate, but every time you die, you lose all of that charge.
That's the big thing. Kiriko rush here for Boise State. But here comes the ult from Vendetta. That's how you use it. One goes up top. It's going to be the Torb turret that they get rid of, and that might just be enough to get the Utah they need. So much damage output when you can't look at it, and you often can't in those team fights. Chasing down Hex's Mac. They don't get it. Clear uses the ult on Azer, gets rid of them. Maxo gets rid of Saint, and Maxo and Clear. An unlikely duo with Torb and Vendetta, but boy, is it working. Goodness gracious. Golly, B-Dog and Mac go down.
Yeah, and one of the things that Boise is sort of doing that's giving struggle to Syracuse is they're kind of just letting Syracuse engage onto them. And as they engage on, you're not just fighting Clear on the Vendetta, you're also fighting Maxwell on this Torb. And it's just so oppressive with that right click, that sort of shotgun burst from Torb, and you can't really do anything against it.
You have no range, but you have to play close because of how the rest of the team is shorted, and Torb's going to get a lot of damage out. Here comes Molten Core. 2 for Torb, 3 for Torb! One with the hammer! Goodness gracious! Clear gets the last in the form of Azer and a Vendetta 1v1.
Oh, no.
Oh, I can't. That's definitely play, so we'll certainly get that replay at some point here, but good golly, man. I mean, you have to gush about plays like that when it is just absolutely absurd. Forward again, Matt gonna drive with the overclock for the Orange, but the Broncos really just too much right now. They're really going forward and doing whatever they want on this Orange side. 3 ults used right now, and the Orange still haven't won this team fight. Back on the other end, Azer trying to get rid of that Torb, having to back off again because of that right click, but Mac able to finish off. B-Dog and Lunar go down, though. Lyric and Clear. They have just kept it alive for that Bronco squad, who for a moment seemed like they didn't have it. And Lyric, a great shot on a Mac. Lyric, the Kiriko, putting in work for this Idaho side.
Do Re Mi, it's a song made for Lyric, and it's only points away from a full cap on push here. Strider gonna be late to the fight, but will be back there in Syracuse, just trying to find a way back into this, but they can't kill Clear.
Just shin music from Azer to start it off, but I don't know how much you can make. They're singing that same song and just beating the crud out of the Orange right now. Saint goes down to Strider. Lunar able to get rid of Strider, though, and that could be enough. Matt gets one on Lyric. That's a big support loss line. The turret goes away, but can they do it? They might be able to. Finally, the Orange pick up a team fight. Mac and B-Dog get the last 2, and the Orange are off to the races, and it is a race against time. 2 minutes remaining to gain a mere 132 meters.
Yeah, Syracuse going to look to get forward on this point as much as they can. They know Boise's already on their way back. They've got some ultimates as well. Clear got one. Lyric, Hex, and Strider going to have theirs. Lunar goes early with the Graviton Surge, but I don't believe finds any connection onto it.
Looking for one in that Kiriko rush for the Boise State squad, but B-Dog will delay it and come back. Their Graviton Surge does a lot more. Clear, Lyric, and Maxwell with 3. It's a hat trick on the offensive side. Could be a team ace here in just a moment. They go forward again. Clear goes down and gets rid of B-Dog. Wow, not a meter gain for the Orange, and Boise State back on the gas pedal. 1 minute and 30 seconds remain as they move forward again. Azer has the ult, dashing it, has to use it here to get rid of something. Try and find some space. Forward is Lunar, onto that other side, going through that utility, and a good shot there, or a good strike there onto Strider from that ult. A Vendetta forward again. Lunar and Mac get 2. A revenge kill for 1. Lunar gets rid of Lyric, and they finally have point back again. There is one more. It's going to be their Lucio delaying so they don't get staggered, and that will be the case for the Orange. They have possession of point. Still a race against time, still 132 meters.
And it's going to be hard, right? I mean, you have Boise, who's so far forward. They have forward spawn. They keep contesting Syracuse at the same spot. And now you're struggling to find your own way back. Syracuse has basically got to win every fight from this point on if they want to win it. Maxwell has the Molten Core ready to go. Mac has the Overclock, the Sound Barrier as well. Azer falls low, though. Here comes the Overclock and the Molten Core.
Just lava anywhere that the Orange need to stand to really try and contest this, and it's such a difficult position. They are able to back off, but what it does do is just stall a little bit longer for Boise State, and that's the main idea behind the ult in the first place. Not normally get too much damage. It's pretty rare you see that many kills. Maxwell gets Mac with the turret before Saint and Lunar can collect Mac and that turret. His son is doing a lot of work right now. Torbjorn, that is a very good job from this side, and it's going to be a sound barrier for the Syracuse side to keep this fight alive for them. Azer gets rid of one in the form of Clear. Big advantage with that barrier. Nearly 3 for Azer, but it's going to be 1 for Lunar as well. Azer with 3, nearly 4. A good job to keep this Orange team alive, but they've got a long road ahead of them if they want to win this game.
Yeah, you take a look at this now. Every fight's got to be perfect now, and they have the ultimates to do it. In push, you want to try to use no more than 1 ultimate when you're at the disadvantage such as this, right? So if Lunar has 1, you then build B-Dog, you then build Azer. That's 3 fights win. You're going to need 4 to win this victory. Thing is, Boise, they just need to force ultimates out. Here comes 1 ultimate from Syracuse.
That's a good one here, and it's enough to get rid of the ult, or excuse me, of the Zarya, which is a very big one that won't be the ult. Lyric has it. They might use it here, but immediately a good job there. Lyric, Maxwell, and Clear just cooking. Goodness golly, Azer, Maxwell, they go down. Hum diddly dee, it's the last. Boise State, the Broncos ride on, and the Orange have no answers.
Yeah, and that's going to be another victory for Boise State. They're putting them 2-1 in this series on Esperanza. And I mean, that Torb did absolute work for this Boise State squad. It started off as holy! Maxwell, take it away.
Here's the Torb ult that we were talking about earlier. Oh my goodness, it starts off with that Molten Core forward into that ult. Goes again, gets 2, goes and hammers the last one. Gosh. Gosh.
But I mean, this is what the strength of that Boise State squad is, right? They come in, they have an idea, and they just play for it, right? And if it messes up, they make changes as needed. They were like, all right, look, we know Syracuse is really good on this Diva. We know Azer is really good on this Tracer. We're going to walk out on Torb, so we don't have to worry about the Tracer. We're going to walk out on Zarya, so we don't have to worry about the Diva. And the rest of it, we're just going to mirror, right? And that's what they ended up doing. Obviously, the Vendetta going in as well made a really big pick as well for the side of Boise State. Syracuse, they switched, right? They made that adaptation, but unfortunately, Boise State, they sort of predicted that it was going to switch, and they were ready for it. They adapted well, and they changed well, and now Syracuse on the back burner here. It's their map pick again as we go to Flashpoint, the best of 5 series within the best of 5 series.
Which is an elimination game if the Orange can't get the best of 5 within the best of 5 to keep the best of 5 alive.
Yes. Exactly. There you go.
Bingo.
Go back and put that at 0.25 times speed just to get an idea of what Carson just said. Flashpoint, right? Typically goes the way of the team that wins control, so this is theoretically Syracuse's best possibility to go forward. They have map pick, they get first ban. So Syracuse has all the advantages here. The only disadvantage is you just lost the map that has the most momentum building in the game.
So the big thing is that there was a lot of momentum built by Boise State. I was just going to go there.
And no Hot Pockets.
Your Hot Pocket is gone. Your delicious ham and cheese. I couldn't think of another flavor.
Pepperoni, cheese, the basic ones?
I don't know. I got ham and cheese.
Why do you go for the ham and cheese?
I don't know. I like that one. Anyway, I was like 6, man.
The meatball ones were good.
Meatball ones were really good. And the Orange are looking for a big meatball here, but I don't know if Boise State's going to provide it. It's going... We talk about the control map being important and whoever wins control being important, but the control map we played is not one of those indicators. It's not an indicator map. It's a very weird one. Boise State played maybe, and I don't want to say this in a mean way because I have a lot of respect for Boise State and Doc Haskell's program. I don't understand what they were trying to do in any way, shape, or form. It did not make sense, and maybe I'm just not intelligent enough to see what they were going for. Because I kind of get it.
I can see it. I think it's just
I kind of do, but like
okay, specifically and contrary to what would be the belief.
It's all about control is the big thing. It's all about control of space.
Yeah. The second point on control, I actually understood that comp a lot more. I mean, the first comp we saw was just Boise State bread and butter. We kind of expected that. But the second one, that was the interesting one, right? And I get where they were coming from, right? Because they were kind of playing Counterwatch there as well. It's just they were playing Counterwatch with characters that aren't really great right now, especially into the current meta. The Sojourn and the Diva are just hard to go up against. But you play the Domina, you play the Mei, you play the Sim, the Diva sort of struggles. But Zarya exists, so why not just play her? And that's what we saw in Esperanza.
Yeah, and it's the bad boy Pistons. That's what they're kind of playing like. If you are familiar with the early 2000s of basketball, which I assume you are not, Big Ben Wallace is one of the most dominant centers of all time. That's what Maxwell's doing right now. Maxwell is on the boards, playing blocks, doing anything they can to transfer their counter into other DPS.
Also off Soldier.
All they are doing is getting rid of the other DPS. Yeah. They know their role, they know their place, and that's why Boise State wins these games. Is in that position, Maxwell did very poorly on the Sim earlier in the game because Sim's a hard character to play. And Boise State was looking for a lineup that had a lot of control over space, and it's just the Orange ended up playing it really well. It's a comp that tends to be out of your hands, and I think you gain a lot of information out of it, but typically you want to switch off it, and they ended up just not doing that. Maybe it was not enough time, things like that. Yeah. Either way, Maxwell is playing not to win, but he's playing to hurt you. It's in the sense of...
He's playing to burn you.
Yeah, you're playing a guy who has decided that you are trying to score a basket. Yes. He has decided, how hard can I throw this basketball at this guy to where he cannot score any more baskets? That is the general feeling right here, and they just punch you in the mouth. Boise State is a very fired-up program who's going to beat you, and they are going to beat you with pride by doing what they do best, and that is not playing the objective. It has never been playing the objective for Boise State. It has been beating down the other comp so hard that it becomes so difficult to play the game in an unreal way.
Yeah, and I mean, with these bans, right, Syracuse stopping that Zarya, right, doesn't want to deal with Strider on the Zarya. They want to play the Diva again. It worked well for them. They want to play that. In return, Boise State bans the cast, right? That's what they walked out on originally. Oh, wow, I'm struggling tonight, Carson. It's what put so much pressure into Strider on the Wrecking Ball, and so they got rid of the Cassidy. Now you're going to see Sojourn mirrors on either side. Clear and Azer going to be switching to Vendetta and Tracer respectively. But this is what we saw from Boise State earlier on. Only difference is Maxwell's off Soldier 76 onto Sojourn. Clear is off Tracer onto Vendetta.
Zarya Van is really bad for Boise State here, and it gives the Orange a very big upper hand, especially at this beginning point, but it depends. Strider knows how to play these maps, and they obviously have done it before. Boise State last year was the biggest program win against Boise State, which was a split, and the Orange nearly found a way in Overwatch to have that first program win in the PEC history against them, and if they don't win this week, it's unlikely they'll find more than one game in Smash Bros. So it's a big win right now for the Orange that they're looking to find. Lunar pushing forward immediately into this other side. Not a lot of support, and they'll go down immediately. Just not the right decision there. Hex gets rid of Lunar right immediately with that boop. Clear gets rid of the mech in that process. The Orange, without any real space grabber, is going to have to jump back. And run me through the reasoning there, because certainly it does seem, if you're out of the context of Lunar, that it is not the right decision.
I mean, here's the thing, right? D.Va is inherently a better tank right now, but the things that Strider is doing, Lunar cannot do. Strider can go in, put pressure in, put damage in, and get out and live, even if it's pressure on Mac. Lunar needs to put pressure on Maxwell on that Sojourn, but by Lunar using those boosters to engage onto Maxwell in that backline, he leaves himself so open to the damage from Clear, and the backline is just there to die.
It's a 6-second boost, and you have to make a decision at 3, and unfortunately, that's the wrong decision, even if it might have worked, because you had a support stepping up who unfortunately went down. That's the big piece there, is the support dying on the way. Strider gets rid of Mac in that fight as well. Clear did go down to an Orange, but for Boise State, it's all about just winning these short sites, and that's a good start for them. Now they're at 70% here, and the Orange have really only fought one team fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Boise's just sort of playing the long game. They're just prolonging it. It's like a long waiting, watching paint dry type of gameplay, because they're just forcing Syracuse to take really long, unneeded fights, but a great kill on a Maxwell.
That's a good start for Lunar up top and trying to get rid of that Kiriko. They will. Very good job. 99% overtime, not to the end of the game. It's first to 3 here, but it's overtime for this one singular point. They chase one off as well. It's Strider gets rid of B-Dog and Mac. But that's not necessarily it. What that ult does is it buys time for Strider to wait for his team to come back, but a sound barrier from the Orange is really a difficult thing to have to use up here. Strider again on Saint. The Orange really struggling. Such a phenomenal job by Boise State, just staying around. Strider's ult, a big piece of that. They get 2 into that fight. Lunar with the self-destruct, but goes down afterwards. Azer gets rid of Clear, but Strider gets rid of B-Dog. And that's it. As Azer goes down, the Orange lose Flashpoint 1. Phenomenally played by Strider, who is on Boise State's on that Boise State tank role for a reason, despite being primarily a Wrecking Ball player.
Yeah, and you know, I was watching and I'm thinking a little bit, right, like how there were a lot of different ultimates used and all that good stuff, and Strider used an ult at the start and already has his ult again. I just want to sort of point that out, is Strider already has the ult again, so it's like he didn't use it in the first place. Syracuse only has the overclock, and so if you look at this, the snowballing in ultimate favor goes totally in the favor of of Boise State.
Grapple runs out for Strider, and Saint pushes him right off the edge. Very good start. I understand your confusion there. Boise State and Ohio State are both the exact same record and play a very similar style of game. And the Orange are struggling with it in the same way, maybe less so than they did against Boise State. Clear 2 with the ult, Mac in the overcharge, able to get one, Lunar able to get another, but Clear with a trifecta. 4 for Clear, going for 5. It's a team kill for Clear on the Vendetta. Good revenge, definitely just clipped that. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. I mean, I said Ohio State, and Clear was like, no, we are Boise State, we are the Broncos. Don't say that.
I'm pretty sure he just stopped the clip, by the way.
Oh, no, he totally did.
Like, he
totally did. Yeah.
GeForce game bar.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Ugh.
And I mean, Strider has this ultimate, right, going into this fight once, or not once more, but still, right? So they have that ability to negate that space and control the fight again, like you were talking about. And there goes the kills again. It's a clean fight for Boise State.
Not much has been said that you couldn't just witness, because it's chin music right now from Boise State. It's a left, it's a right. It is just haymaker after haymaker against this Orange squad who really can't hang with the Broncos right now. And Strider is he's doing this for an amazing reason, if you really will. This is exactly why. Just throws them in the air, tosses them down. Just so much disruption possible from Strider's Wrecking Ball. And the Orange honestly played it well last time, but it's a completely different situation here. Strider's finally getting the support they need to keep themselves around. Lunar able to get rid of Maxwell on the point. Clear goes down, because that's the big kind of flaw in Strider's game, is if the Orange are able to move forward to get into the back line, there's nothing that Strider can do. But what they can do is really provide a distraction and really stagger. So we'll see what they can do. Boise State will walk back up with the team, and we'll maybe have all 5 ults in this fight if it takes long enough.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that Cass, you can sort of see how strong that Cassidy was against this Wrecking Ball compared to the Sojourn into the Wrecking Ball, where Strider gets just so much more value. But Syracuse, right, they're doing this really well. They're playing this fight really well. They're going to probably win this one here. And I think one of the biggest reasons is they're not giving too much focus to Strider. When they focus on Strider, when they let Strider do his thing, that is when things get dangerous. That's when they start losing these fights. But Syracuse should be able to get away with this point and bring themselves 1-1.
Strider is here, so I'm curious if they'll fight it pretty hard, but Clear going down kind of indicates that they will. Who cares? Immediately 10% right off the rip. Strider gets that ult down, and we'll have control of the point. Clear going down is big, but Mac going down I think is arguably bigger right now for this Orange squad. Lunar low on that mech health. We're going to see if they use that self-destruct here a little early. They will. Tends to do that before waiting for it to go down. Will get that mech down. Strider, Maxwell, and Strider collect 3 very quickly. Overtime here. Orange won't lose the game if they do this, but they will certainly go to match point within this.
Oh, wow.
And it's just Coke butter chicken right now for Boise State. If you're familiar with that innuendo, it is a little boy playing 2K, and he just hit a 3 from the logo, and that's what Boise State just did. That is an unreal point grab.
Yeah, and we talk about how Strider is using this and how Strider is taking advantage of these mines, right? He uses them, he plays it, and then he sort of waits for the team, right? It forces Syracuse out a little bit, which gives the rest of Boise State time to come back into said fight.
Ace are able to get one with a pulse bomb, but Hex boops Saint out of existence, I should say. I think I just heard Saint scream behind me, so that's a pretty good indication of where we are in this matchup. Syracuse struggling very hard to keep the mental together, and that's a big difficulty right now, especially in these. Lunar just going to go off map. That's not a tilt, that is a refresh, if you will, but they'll capture this point here. So now we have match point. The Orange have to find a way to get this point and capture it fully before this game is over, and it is a...
Strider has ult again.
It is an ambush from Strider, who, like you pointed out, got ult at 99% on the last point, and at 26% on the next. The next team fight has it.
Yeah, I mean, Strider is just playing this Wrecking Ball so perfectly, and Syracuse has to stop looking at him if they want to get any value onto this back. Here we go, Lunar on the back line.
Immediately into there, and no help from Strider until too late, but Lunar's just not able to get there. Their tanks are getting messed up with Strider, and that's the big point, is sometimes you do have to look at Strider, but the Orange have been struggling with when. Ace to get kind of a consolation pick there before saying you'll never take me alive and trying to get 4 on the other end, but I mean, he's on an ambush again now. Strider at 25% of really, generally, it's unreal.
Oh, no.
They didn't even look. They didn't even look.
They have to get on point here, Carson. And it's, I mean...
It's a poor slam from Strider. Not well played. They'll get on. So they'll have some utility here. Lunar able to get rid of Clear, which could be big, but we saw last time getting rid of Clear isn't exactly a fight win like it would be with a Strider or maybe one of the supports. Forward again for this Orange squad as they duel with Kiriko ults. Have both sound barriers, expect them to be used here in this fight. Orange have gotten point. They forced them all the way off, and it is a fantastic job to pick apart that Boise State squad. They've been needing to do this for a while. And, you know, if they just do that every other time, they'll win the game.
Yeah, and they have so many more ultimates to use in this fight as well. Syracuse has the things needed to win this fight, but Saint finds Maxwell. That's a good one. The mech goes down. Lunar's going to find it back. Once again, just don't stare at Strider. That's all you have to do when you win this.
Lunar does a good job there. He's in between both Strider and his team, and what he does there is delay, and that's what you're supposed to do. Strider is not a character you really need to kill as much as you need to just delay them, but they do have great area denial. Now we'll have an overclock for Maxwell as Syracuse responds with a sound barrier as Hex uses it at the same time. I think they both decided they were going to use it and just ended up being together. But the overcharge for Mac here. Maxwell able to get one lyric, gets rid of Lunar. They basically together get rid of the Diva mech and the Diva, but Mac not able to get any util off of that overclock. Goodness gracious, Clear. All they can do is look up like Willem Dafoe in that one movie that's slightly tinted blue. 4 for the capture on the Boise State squad. The Broncos They went down 1-0 early, but it's been kind of the case here where Syracuse finds a win early, and the Broncos, they always just adjust. They have the adaptability to win these games. Strider there, finally doing something. Luna trying to match it with the wrecking ball to get back to sight. Matt goes down, and the Syracuse Orange fall 3-1. 0-3 against the top 3 seeds in the nation, or in our PEC conference, excuse me, who are some of the top teams in the nation. Boise State ranked 12, and again, it's a 3-1 loss versus a top 20 ranked team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Right now, you're 0-3 against the top 3 in the PEC. You're 0-3 against, right now, Boise, ranked 12. Ohio State, 22. They just fell out of the top 20. And Utah, I believe, is 7? So right now, all these teams, Syracuse struggling to find their way back into where they were, top 20 in the nation. Now they're sort of starting to struggle against some of these teams. You can see a lot of these teams have put in so much work and so much sort of presence in making changes, right? They lost to Syracuse early on in the semester, and they're like, we don't want that to happen again, and they put in a lot of work to reach that point. And Syracuse, it once again comes down to a little bit slow on the adaptation, right? You saw how Boise, they did not play great in map 1. They made changes, they made adjustments, and they played into Syracuse's hand, which is something we don't normally see, and that's one of the reasons I really like watching Boise State is they want to play into your gameplay. They want to play into your style because that's how they get into your heads a little bit. They're like, fine, you want to play the Diva, we're going to let you. We're going to play Torb, and we are going to play completely counter into your game plan.
Yeah, Boise State is the perfect friend. They adapt to any situation, and it's somebody you'd always want on your side. And unfortunately for the Orange, they got matched up against them tonight, and Overwatch isn't a two-university game. Difficult loss for this Orange squad, who now goes 0-3 this semester, as we mentioned, versus the top 3 seeds. 2-4 this entire semester against those top 3 seeds. Yep. They'll have some opportunities to tune themselves up to Vegas, whether it's ACEC this weekend, which you can check out. That'll be Rocket League and Overwatch on Sunday pretty early in the morning and Eastern time, even earlier if you're elsewhere in the country. But it's going to be some good Atlantic coastal action.
We're on that, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes.
We both are.
We'll be back.
We'll be there.
We'll be there.
I'll be there tomorrow with Gungeon as well, who you saw on Sunday's stream. So we've got plenty of stuff going on, and we finally have Smash on Thursday. We've been missing it for the last few weeks because of rescheduling, but we finally got it. So make sure you're tuned in. We've got plenty of games to go. Boise State takes a 2-0 series lead, but there's still 2 games left for this Orange squad to try and tie it. I've been Carson Cass with Ryan Blankenhorn. Thank you very much, and continue to be kind.